to Munch. So you should be feeling nice and full. Have a nice plan for your move goals. Now let's go into Munch. So Munch is based around understanding nutrition. I want you to be empowered to make healthy nutrition choice, but I don't want you to be unnecessarily restricting or dieting. This doesn't lead to a healthy relationship with food and leads us to labeling foods as good or bad, which is not what I'm about. So what we eat must fuel and nourish us, but also be enjoyable. So that's what we're going to focus on with all of you in your Munch goals and your plan. So first of all, we focus on the quality of food that you're eating. So we want to choose quality food to fulfill your macro and micronutrient needs. And remember, in the introductory guide, I explain what macronutrients and micronutrients are, so you can have a little bit of a read as to why they're important for us. But what we want to do is choose 80% of our daily intake or over the week is good quality foods. This is whole foods full of nutrients to help support our health and well-being. And of course, we allow 20% for flexibility. So we're not about being perfect. We're about allowing some room for some treats, some snacks, some meals out on the weekend so that you've got that variety and that you don't feel restricted. You're still going to hit your goals if the overall principles underlying your nutrition are met, so your overall intake. So make sure you allow some room for foods that you enjoy that are within that 20% range as well. It's up to you. So aim for 80-20 either daily. So like I personally like daily, having most of my food and my meals as whole foods and then allowing 20% for some treats. Like I really enjoy chocolate, so I'll have that on a daily basis. Or if you're someone who prefers to go out and have a really big meal on the weekend that's a little bit more calorie dense or processed, like a big burger or pizza or something like that, allow it for the weekend so you can have that balance but also that flexibility. Then quantities. This is where it gets a little bit more detailed and more specific with which goal you've chosen. So the amount we eat affects our energy and it also changes our body composition. So I've made a little scale on the left there to help you understand what the difference is between all of these points. So if you remember back to the goals, we have lifestyle in the middle here. This is to help you maintain your body composition and focus on your healthy habits. And there's a bit of a variety here, a bit of a range here that is your maintenance calories. So remember from the introductory guide, calories are how we measure energy and how we measure quantity. And if you're eating around your maintenance level, you should be hitting lifestyle. So your body fat shouldn't change too much, your body weight shouldn't change too much, but it'll help you to maintain a nice, healthy balance. Now, if you're wanting to focus on muscle gain, you will need to eat what's called a calorie surplus. So slightly more calories than your maintenance. Now, in this range here, you'll probably build muscle and see some strength and power gains, which is great. So you'll see that shape and that definition, put on some muscle and see some more shape. But we do have a limit. If it's too much, you may start seeing some excess fat gain, which is not great. It's not super healthy for us. And it also makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable in your body. Well, me personally, I think that will make me feel a little bit uncomfortable in my body. But of course, we're about a healthy attitude towards all this. So there is a spectrum and a range. So if you are aiming for muscle gain, you want to hover around this surplus, which is about a 10% surplus. Now, if it's a deficit for fat loss, if we're hovering around this spectrum here, you should see some reduction in your body fat without too much negative changes in your health and well-being. And that's about a 10 to 20% deficit, depending, because our bodies tend to like to store fat a little bit easier than they lose fat. Sometimes a little bit more of an aggressive deficit may be necessary, but you can talk to me about this if you need a little bit more help. But we don't want to eat too little because then we're going to start ending up in this excess deficit zone. Now, this often, you might see some body fat reduction for a while, and then you'll start seeing some negative metabolic adaptation, which is where your body is trying to avoid losing too much body fat for survival, which is really important for our health and well-being. You may find your energy will get really low, you'll feel really hungry and tired and moody, and you may see some nutritional deficiencies and hormonal problems start to arise, which we want to avoid for female health and well-being and your mental health and well-being. So we don't want to eat too little. That's why I'm aiming to educate you girls on when you're aiming for fat loss, you want to stay in just a mild deficit and to focus on what is sustainable for you and coming back to maintenance and lifestyle, okay? So there is more detail in this in our nutrition guide and our goal setting guide, but we'll go through what you're aiming for today so you can be aware of what to feel, of what to focus on. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of clarity onto what you're aiming for with your goal wise and how it affects how much you eat. Now, the way we decide how much we're eating is you can either track your food, so we can have a look at it. We need to be accountable and track it somewhere. Either in a food diary, so this is a visual representation of what you're eating, so you can photograph and track your food based on our balanced meal guides that is in the Munch guide attached. Or you can get really detailed with Myfitnesspal, which is a great app to focus on your intake. So we want to try and track our food daily over the challenge just to see what we're eating. And again, we're focusing on just a healthy awareness of our food. We're not aiming to overly restrict or be really critical about our food. This is about awareness and being knowing where we're at. So one way we can do it is to actually add the food diary. So this is how you can add it to your app. One way you can track your food intake is with a food diary with meal photos. So this is really good because it's in the app and it's a great way to stay accountable whilst not being as detailed as tracking on Myfitnesspal. So what you can do to set up your meal photos is go into the More section of your app, which is the 3 dots on the right-hand side there. Then just scroll down to your settings and you need to set it up in the meal tracker section. So you click on it and then click in this app and then meal photos, and that will set it up so that it's ready to go. Now to track your meal photos, you can go back to your calendar page and either click on today or you can click the big blue plus button, and there's a meal section which will open up the little app for the food photos. So you can either do a photo here and there, or you can click on the photos if you've selected one from earlier, like I went out for brunch today, so I'm going to use that. So you can choose that, and then you can write down some notes about it, whether it was for your breakfast, lunch, or your dinner, or snacks. So snacks, you can add unlimited photos and foods, but for breakfast, lunch, dinner, it will just let you do one. So you can write in there what you had, etc. And then you can save it and it will save the meal. What's really cool about this is if you do save things longer term, it will actually save it for you in the database. So if you want to add a meal and it's just something that you have daily, on this right hand side here where the little clock is, you'll have like your saved photos. So here, obviously I've only tracked the breakfast in here, so you can click that, but then you can have all your snacks and regular stuff that you use as well. So it's pretty cool. It's a great way to stay accountable without being in too much detail with your nutrition. So you're still getting your accountability with, are you getting your balanced meals in? Are you getting your regular meals in? But not going into the full tracking with calories and macros. So see how you go with that, and then we'll set you up. So that is how you set up your meal photo diary. Again, as I said in the video, it's a great way to be accountable, but not too detailed with what you're eating in regards to calories and macronutrients. But this is going to get you good awareness on eating balanced meals per day and get your quality of your nutrition up nice and high. Now, here's how to set up your Myfitnesspal in the app, and also how I recommend getting your goals sorted for Myfitnesspal. If you're wanting to be more detailed with your nutrition tracking, I'd recommend using Myfitnesspal. Now, the first thing you need to do is set up an actual goal. I don't actually recommend using Myfitnesspal's way of figuring it out because they tend to do it a little bit low if your goal is fat loss. So instead, I recommend using this website here. So the link is in the description of this video. So what you do is you go down and you just use this calculator to figure out your goals. So I'll type in my stats. You will need to know your weight and height just to make sure that you have accurate data. And you'll need to add in your activity levels. And what will happen is you can calculate your goals. So I usually start with your maintenance and just seeing what that is per day. And this will give you a good little breakdown that you can put into Myfitnesspal to make sure that your goals are a little bit more accurate. So if your goal is maintenance or lifestyle, you can click on maintain. That will give you a good reading. If you want to do a deficit, I recommend choosing this lose 10% option. That will give you a deficit number. But if you're in a surplus, you'll click the one on the right there and that will give you a surplus number. So this will give you a nice, really good target for you to hit. So once you've hit that, make sure you remember it or screenshot it, obviously, and then you can actually input it into Myfitnesspal. So to change your goals, you just hit the more, which is the button down the bottom right there, and hit goals, and then there's a calorie, carbs, protein, and fat goals, which you can place in there. So the most important thing is to just write in the calorie goal at the top there to make sure that you've got an overall number to aim for, And then I distribute the ratio at about 40-30-30. So 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat for most of you, just to keep it simple. We're not going into too much detail with your macronutrients because hitting your balanced meals will help make sure that you've got a balance of protein, carbs, and fats per day. But you can pop that number in, which is whatever your goal is, and then that will save onto the diary so you can actually track your nutrition. Then you can go ahead and start adding in food to your daily basis. So you can just click add food and then search for something that you had that day. I'm going to search for a type of food. So as time goes on, you will add a little bit of a database to Myfitnesspal. So you see when I said add food, there's lots of my foods that I eat quite frequently just sitting there in the history. This makes it a lot easier to go find your nutrition. And this will give you a really awesome overview of your food. Now you can sync Myfitnesspal over to the app, so you're going to get lots of data over there for me to have a look at or for you to have a look at. And that's what makes it really awesome. So that's how you set up your Myfitnesspal with good goals based on your daily intake. Great, so that is how you set up your Myfitnesspal with some solid goals. The website I recommend is healthyeater.com. They have a really good estimation for their calculator. I really enjoy using them and find it quite accurate. So that's where you can go. Otherwise, if you need help, obviously just come and talk to me and I can help calculate your goals for you and figure out if they are right for you. So adding an aim for daily tracking if you're using Myfitnesspal so you can get lots of data, and this syncs across to the app. So in the next video, I'll show you how to sync it to your Powherful app. The second option for tracking your daily intake is with Myfitnesspal. So this is a little bit more accurate because you can track some more data. You can track your calories, your macronutrients, and all the individual food items in detail. So it's really good for being accountable with your food. Now to sync Myfitnesspal to your app, you just have to head to the More section, which is the 3 dots on the right-hand side, and then scroll down to connect your Myfitnesspal. So you'll have to actually connect it by logging in and then turning on your syncing. And once it's authorized, that will sync into your app. So once it's synced, it will sync over to your app. Now, so when you're wanting to actually track your food, you can go to the calendar page and you can add your Myfitnesspal. So if you click on meal, it will sync over to it will go over to Myfitnesspal. And then when you're logging in there, it will show up on your app. Like so. Now for a full guide of how to work Myfitnesspal, I've saved that on your information page. So you can go and find that if you want a little bit more detail about how to actually use it. But it's a great way to stay accountable to your food. So that is the quality and quantity part of nutrition or Munch. So once you've got that sorted and you're feeling pretty solid with, okay, I want to aim for this for my quality of food and this is how I'm going to track my quantity, you need to actually make it happen. Now, how to make that happen is with preparation. So being prepared makes it very easy to stay on track. It makes it easy to track your food because you know what's in it, and obviously stops that convenience factor coming into play when you're out and about or at work, which throws many people's nutrition off. So how we do this is by meal planning and prepping each week, and we want to aim to be prepared with our food every day. It's very easy to get caught out if you just don't make your meals the night before or don't prep them in advance and end up choosing those convenient sources of food. So how we do this is plan the meals you want to eat for the week and make sure you're ready. You head out shopping, or you order from a meal prep company, or you order from a service such as Dinnerly or HelloFresh. They're all really great ways to make sure you're getting good quality food. Now, we have a meal plan template linked in the app for you, or you can use your own system to plan your meals. This is just a great way to start the week off really well and really organized, and actually account for all the food that you need so you can go shopping or get it ready. Now, we have some recipes in the app, and here's how to find them. For prepping your meals, you can find lots of recipes and some information and guides down in the app. So you just have to head to the Powherful program page and then scroll down to Munch.
So in this section, there's a bit of education, which has a meal prep guide in it. And it also has lots of content to help you with setting up your goals, or if you want to know how to track your food a little bit more, you can go and head into there. And I've also added some recipes down here. So it's breakfast, snacks and treats, some dinner recipes, and then a nice big meal prep section. So if you're looking for some ideas and some inspiration, this is a really good place to go. Each recipe I've just placed as kind of an exercise because that's how you put them into here. And then you can click into it and there's a recipe there and a little bit of a overview. So if you're looking for some recipes, that's a great place to go to help you set up your meal prep and help you set up your meal plan for the week.
So that is how you find some recipes. Of course, you can use whatever recipes you like, and I would love you to share them with us and the other girls in the program as well. Now, prep recommendation, this is what suits you. So all of them, it's got to be what works for you and works for you best. So the 3 ways I generally think you can do it is, one of them is meal prepping for the week in advance. So making sure all your meals are sorted, you've got them in the freezer and the fridge ready to go. You can either order from a meal prep company or make it yourself. The next way is just for half and half. So I like to keep my food in the fridge for half the week, and then at the halfway point, so usually Wednesday, Thursday, making some more food for the second half of the week. That keeps it fresh in the fridge, but again, you just have to do a halfway prep. The other one is as you go. So if you're somebody who likes to have dinner and then make some extra leftovers for the next day, you can obviously do that. It's up to you. The whole point of this is just that you have planned and prepared for your week. You know what you're eating, you know when you're eating, and you are ready so you don't fall back to convenience habits or automatic little vices that you tend to do when you are in a bit of a pinch. The other thing is always allow some room on the weekends for your meals out or planning where you're going to go. That's important too. You want to make sure we're not focusing on being perfect. You're allowing some flexibility and fun. And do not beat yourself up if something doesn't go to plan. Just learn from it and see what you can do next.